What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. Man, I'm good. On today's show, we're going to be talking about this new game coming out called The Light of Montaram. So it's a Horizon Zero Dawn meets Destiny meets Elden Ring. You could say ripoff, but we'll take a look at that. Talk about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 patch 8 comes next year and includes crossplay, photo mode, and more. So we'll talk about that as well. And then we'll also talk about, 5 years later, Disney confirms that Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is getting remade, perhaps. So we'll talk about that as well. I have a little bit of a different setup that I've done. So if you see me looking in different directions, I'm just trying to get used to it or whatnot. What's going on, chat? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Ron? Jason, Broick. Who am I missing? Sarge, what's going on? Lucas, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? I set up my screen a little bit different so I can read chat a little bit more. But I don't know if I like the way it... Come on, Travis. What's going on, Ward? Waterbear, good morning. All turn. Wonder Rose. This. On this? No. All right. I didn't gain any weight. I'm exactly as I was when I left. Exactly as I was when I left. Let me lower this music. Freaking loud. All right. We'll get back into the groove of things here, chat. All right. We also have other stories that we're going to talk about if we have time. I thought this Star Wars one was interesting because IGN also had an article of Star Wars a couple days ago, maybe like a week ago, talking about how can Disney stop announcing Star Wars movies, which I thought was pretty funny considering IGN this entire time for like the last 5 years, 6 years has been defending Star Wars, and then all of a sudden now they're like, hey, can we just stop announcing stuff? And which is just funny to me. What's going on, Eclipse? Right, Travis? Remaking the Skywalker might be a good idea, but knowing that it'll be in it'll make it into the Acolyte. Yeah. All right, so let's start off. By how was everyone's Thanksgiving? Everyone's Thanksgiving was good. We're already in December 2nd. I thought it was the December 1st today. No, it's December 2nd. So we're just moving right along. It's the end of the year already. Tomorrow will be the end of the year. So anybody get any good deals for Black Friday? My wife, we were at Best Buy. We were picking up a little thumb drive, not the thumb drive, but the expansion card slot for my son. And when we were there, all of a sudden my wife's like, "Is this a good monitor?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good monitor." So she purchased me a brand new monitor and gave it to me early. She's like, "Here, you can have this." I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." So I got an AOC monitor. It's a lower grade one, but a higher end what I had. So it does like 180 hertz, 0.5 milliseconds, whatever. Great for gaming. So while we were there, one of the guys was, another customer was just shopping for his wife for a Dell monitor. And we were back and forth going, should I get this one? Should I get that one? Really good price, by the way. Like, couldn't pass it up. About $128, I think it was. And I was just like, what's wrong with it? Like, what's wrong with it? Open box? What's the problem? Nothing's wrong with it. It's fantastic. Anyway, the guy that was at the store trying to find a monitor for his wife started like chatting with me. I was like, "Oh yeah, I have this monitor. It's really good if you play a lot of video games on it." Yeah. I go, "If it's so good, then why are you buying this monitor?" He's like, "Oh no, this is for my wife. She's an accountant." I was like, my wife's an accountant. He's like, ah, and we started talking, and both our wives were like, what the hell's going on here? It was really funny. Like a bromance just happened. Travis says, good Thanksgiving. Got to see my niece and cousin, who are just starting to realize that games are broke, buggy things. My son can't shut up about how broke Microsoft Flight Sim is, Travis. Last night we're sitting at dinner, right? And my son starts talking about Fortnite. The event was Saturday, Fortnite this, Fortnite that. And my wife's like, what's with Fortnite all of a sudden? What happened to Flight Sim? And I go, before I even said, well, he goes, it's broke. He's like, it's been out for 2 weeks and they still haven't fixed it. Pop-ins, glitches, all these things. And he just started ranting, and I was like looking at myself across the table, and I was just like, oh God. I didn't teach him any of this. I didn't say anything. He doesn't watch my show. He's not home when I do my show, right? And then when I talked about my show, when I was bitching about Flight Sim, he wasn't home. He went off. Like, it just came out naturally. And she's like, oh, well, they're going to fix it? And I was just like, I stayed quiet the entire time. He's still upset. He's upset. He's like, I don't understand. Why would they release a game broke, buggy? And all I can say is, sorry, bud. Sorry. Yeah, the new movement for Fortnite's pretty good. We played a little bit this weekend. Yeah, this monitor does the 1920 by 1080 at 180 hertz. It can go up higher and get the 30 frames and stuff like that. It has on this monitor you can put a crosshair on the monitor. So if you're playing a first person shooter, like it always just stays on there. And I was just like, cool. Mandalorian says, so they're retconning Star Wars sequels? I don't know. On this show, Mandalorian, we read the articles, and then we have a discussion about it. I haven't read them yet. Haven't read it yet. Can't tell you. You have an MSI monitor like that? Yeah, it does a couple of other things. Like it automatically does the, the frame rate, like the FPS on the screen. It does the crosshair, and it does a couple of other things. It also automatically adjusts the screen at night, so it has that, I guess it's like the blue light or whatever it does. Yeah, Sarge, remember we used to just take a piece of tape, put it in the center? No, there's no release date that I know of Baldur's Gate. They just say 2025. Again, haven't read the article yet, but that's just the way our show goes. All right, let's start off with the ripoff. Should we? Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Okay, let's all go to this. And let's watch together. I saw a little bit of this. I didn't watch the whole thing. And I was just like, this looks like Horizon. I thought it was Destiny. I thought it was a sequel to Destiny when it first launched, okay? Like when I first saw the trailer. So, let me make sure the sound's good for you guys. Now, I'm going to be pausing and stuff. If you guys want to watch this, the description's down below, the link's down below. You can go to IGN or go on the internet and watch it. We're going to watch it, and I'm going to pause and whatnot. I mean, I thought this was Destiny right off the bat. I was like, oh, this is a ghost. and then it morphs into Horizon. I was like, is this Destiny after, like, everything that happened? I was like, all right, I'm interested. Let's see what happens.
Wake up. I call you forth, the fourth breath I grant you, to live in this world which spirals against time.
Go on, Hilly. Okay. I don't... Look, I know talk's going to happen about lawsuits and copycats and whatever else. Okay? Like, this thing is almost a 1-to-1. 1-to-1, they took Horizon's, like, dinosaurs and morphed it into this. Okay? Even the fighting in this, they've stole from other games. I don't know if there's an original thing in this game, but at the same time, if you borrow from this and you borrow from that and you borrow from this and you borrow from that and make it your own, can they get away with it? We'll see. The reason they're suing over Palworld, Travis, is because of patents, which are not holding up because they were patents before their patents, right? I don't think Horizon has a patent on robotic dinosaurs. Just saying. You know what I get the feeling of? Sort of like Anthem as well. I get like an Anthem feel. Like they took Anthem a little bit. They took Destiny a little bit. They took Elden Ring a little bit. They took a whole lot of Horizon. They're like, what about if we make Horizon but with a better looking protagonist? What about if they had a companion like the Ghost from Destiny?
We are with you always, as long as the world shall live. May fortune find you.
Oh no, Sarge, they have gameplay. There's gameplay in this as well. Was that a skeleton within the robot? Hold on a second. Here, we're just... Well, that's pretty cool. There's like robots, but like a skeleton underneath. I had this dream that we were going to take every asset from every other game and make our own.
Where a god that blessed brought destruction. So why can't human beings kill God?
(4078 AD). I wonder if those animals have testicles like Red Dead Redemption. They're not even hiding it, which is the best part. They just like, hey, we're gonna do this. Travis, why are you so like hell bent? Your colors are showing. Your colors are showing. So is this going to be like a survival world as well? So this is going to be sort of building stuff like an Ark Survival or like a Conan? Does this mean it's co-op? Does it mean it's co-op? This is straight out of Avatar. They stole this from Avatar. They're like, yeah, let's take this from Avatar. Look, nothing's original anymore. Everything is taken from something. But this looks like a co-op game. Now I'm getting vibes of like Elden Ring / Monster Hunter. This is like the same. Hold on a second. That was actually pretty good. Did they dodge it? I don't know what that is. All right. Oh, you can summon? Is that your beast behind it now? It is. That's cool. Kraken says, this isn't a copy, this is an upgrade. Like a snake bug? Is that what that is? I feel like Transformers, like the Insecticons are here. That's pretty cool. What's this? Wait, you can create your own mech?
5 times I erased you, yet still you won't silence up. How much more resurgence do you need, anyway?
All right. So everyone seems pretty okay with that except Travis, right? So Travis, make sure you're nowhere near that game. I don't want to hear you say when it comes out you're playing it, you bought it later, someone gifted it to you, nothing. You're not allowed to play it. You're not allowed to play it, all right? The amount of stuff stolen, borrowed, or whatever, I think the biggest one is Horizon, right? Obviously, robot dinosaurs or robot animals. And my question to you, chat, is are you not allowed to use something? And what I mean by this is because Horizon took animals and made it into robots, are you not allowed to use robot animals into anything? Okay? Like, and my example is if a game used animals, just regular animals, and another game used animals, are they not allowed to use animals? Can you intellectually like say that that's yours and no one else can use it? I'm sure you could, right? I don't think that just because they look like it and you're like, oh, Horizon, cool. But at the same time, I think they've changed it enough. And that's all you have to do when you take a logo or take something, you have to change it a certain amount of ways to make it your own, right? You can borrow and then add to it and subtract and whatnot and make your own. It seems like between the opening scenario of the ghost, I mean, that's straight up ghost, right? Can no one else use a ghost in any other thing? As long as they don't call it a ghost. You know what I mean? As long as they don't call it the exact same things and they do different things and they, have different, I don't want to say assets, have different reactions and different things. They don't act exactly. It's like they didn't steal it from Horizon. They took it from Horizon and then made it their own. You know what I'm saying? Roic says, how many ways can you make a robotic animals? Right, that's what I'm saying, Roic. Like, so them putting it there, I don't think is a problem, right? And again, borrowing stuff. Now, we did see a little bit of, I don't know if it's co-op, but we saw the 4 people flying. So I would assume there's some co-op there. Then there's the battling one-on-one. It feels like Elden Ring. I'll be honest, this game doesn't seem real just because they showed so much. Now, obviously, as it goes down the line, I'm sure it is real, but it almost is like there's too much borrowed from so many things that it doesn't look right. We got like a Horizon invented mech animals, right? Like I'm sure there was robots somewhere else down the line, right? It's 100% allowed. Otherwise, how could you have both Mass Effect and Halo both have aliens? Right. Well, aliens are different, right? The aliens look different. And I'm okay with that. As long as they look different and they act differently. Well, the fact that they used literal color pattern exact same as Horizon is very sus. You don't have to make a robot animals look exactly the same. No, I get it. They can look the same, but think about this, Water. A deer is a deer, right? They just made their robotic look exactly like the robots from Horizon. You can have your stance of they're going to get sued. I'm not going to tell you that not a possibility, okay? But at the same time, they're allowed to take stuff. Perfect example, okay? Perfect example. Everyone can use the Unreal Engine library, the assets that are in the Unreal Engine library. You're allowed to use exactly what it is, purchase it for it. You can just use it as is. You can use it as and add your own things, change the color palette, right? And do different things. You're allowed to do that because that's what they sold. Someone made those things and put it out there. Now, I don't know much if this is in some sort of area in a software. I don't even know what engine they used. Okay, I'm assuming because it's Epic Games, they used Unreal Engine. Okay, but you're allowed to use assets. That's okay. You're allowed to use assets. Sarge says, copying a good idea, not wrong. But if you don't add the creativity, then it just comes across as lazy. and we see how it goes. Right. Ellie says animals are free to use, but not everything is covered after the judge told me I couldn't romance a sheep. Robert Jones says it does look like a copy, though. And I agree with you. But at the same time, are you not allowed to use it? 1-to-1 copy, there's subtle differences. I mean, you can build your own robot. That's awesome. Right. So they change the stuff that's in the game by borrowing it from other things. Go on, heck. Travis says 30. Gonna be honest to me. Gonna be honest. To me, it shows that we've discussed millions of times that the creativity is bankrupt. Why make a new game if you can steal from old games? But everything, songs, movies, games, they're all borrowed from things that came before. I mean, hell, look at the game that's coming out, Path of Exile 2. Okay? When you first look at Path of Exile 2, you're like, dude, that's a Diablo clone. But they took it and made it better, right? They got inspired by the thing and then made the thing better than what the thing that they wanted to inspire to be. Just for seeing those villagers and animals, I would have the thought takes place in the Horizon world. Absolutely, Jason. And I'm not arguing that the thing doesn't look. I mean, look, as soon as you open up and they go into this whole right when you look at stuff like this, I'm not denying that it doesn't look like Horizon. I mean, it looks like they just stripped it right out of the game.
To live in
right, it looks exactly like they just took it straight up out of the game. Right now, obviously, there's differences, but you look at it. The color spectrum of it, the way they light up and do certain things, it looks exactly like Horizon. Bart says all devs take good ideas from other games. That's how the type of games get better. Kmart versus Qmart. People also forget how many knockoffs we had in the 360 era. Hell, you know what's funny? There's a place here in Orlando that's called iDrive. Okay, iDrive has a bunch of shops on there that sell T-shirts and like Disney memorabilia, stuff like that. Right? There are so many knockoffs, Okay, where you couldn't sue them if you wanted to, but Disney doesn't touch them because they just print out their own shirts in the back. If they see a shirt and they want to make it, they have their screen printers and stuff in the back. They just make the shirts and put them on, right? Knockoffs, right? Go to Canal Street, or at least you used to, in Canal Street in New York, right? You have knockoff purses, knockoff watches, knockoff things, okay? You could sue them. It's not really worth it, okay? I don't think there's going to be a lawsuit here. I don't. I think there's so many things going on here. Now, if there's patent infringements and stuff like that, sure. But as far as animals look like Horizon, I don't think you're going to get anything. I think there's enough going on in this game that they have so many different things that it's not just an action adventure game with robotic animals. It literally looks like Elden Ring, looks like Destiny, looks like Monster Hunter, looks like Horizon. At the end of the day, it does look good. It does look good. It looks impressive. If it all comes out and it works. At this point, a game is good. I don't care. And that's what I was just going to get to, Jones. At the end of the day, does it fucking matter if it's a copycat or not? Right? I mean, if you go back to the Nintendo days, how many side scrollers was there that straight up took it from another game? And we all played it because as the customer, I don't care. Some people are going to pick up this game and play it. I'll be honest, I probably won't even play this game. Okay? I probably won't even play this game. But customers don't care. The mass majority is not going, wait a minute, I'm not playing. The vast majority is not Travis, right? The vast majority is not Travis. The vast majority is not a person that's like, well, they copied it. I hope they get sued to oblivion, which really doesn't make sense to me because unless you are Sony, unless you are Guerrilla Games, I don't know why anyone would also get mad about this. Travis just likes all games. I mean, Sonic is just fast Mario. I want that on a shirt, Eclipse. Sonic is just fast Mario. You have Mario starting it, like a little picture of Mario, and then you have there's a fast Mario, and then you have Sonic. Come on, Argus. Sarge says all of them take from each other. If it looks cool, plays well, then they use it. Exactly. Kraken says I don't mind copies because every now and then it become an upgrade. Just look at Path of Exile, the original marketed as a heavily Diablo-inspired game. Now Path of Exile is arguably an ARPG, right? That's what I just said, Kraken. Like if you look at Path of Exile, it's people that wanted to make a better Diablo game. They wanted to make us, their words, not mine. They wanted to make a sequel to Diablo 2. We watched the interview last week. Okay. If you remember, you get to see it, right? But he said in the interview, we wanted to make a sequel to Diablo. It looks straight up out of Diablo, but they put their own twist to it. You don't know that though, Travis. You say I agree that Kraken, but Path of Exile improved on it is literally the same. You don't know that if it's the same. There was so many things. See, you're locked in on robot dogs, robot animals. That Horizon. They showed 100 different things in this trailer, and all you're fixated on is they copied Horizon. They took one aspect of Horizon and they turned it into something else. Robert Jones says, famous book says, there's nothing new under the sun 2,000 years ago. Travis says, when they literally put the exact same creature in either game, there's no difference. That's theft. It's not the exact same. Right? Okay, so Pokemon is theft. Did you ever play Pokemon games? Because Dragon Quest came first, and Pokemon straight up took their thing one-to-one and made their own characters. Have you played a Pokemon game in your life? Sarge says, Cyber Monday, let's go! Clickety, clickety, clacky. Travis says, I don't like theft. It's blatant theft. And would like the copied your board game and called a different name. Well, you're still playing your PlayStation, right? He loves Pokemon. Only that's not true. Pokemon and Dragon Quest were both helped. But Pokemon is a copy of Dragon Quest. Regardless if it's helped, it's a straight up ripped out of Quest and put into their own thing. So if you play Pokemon, then you're a hypocrite right now because Pokemon was ripped off from Dragon Quest and it became its own thing. But you're not fixated on the characters that they took and made the exact same. You're fixated on that because you're a Sony fan. You're fixated that they took Horizon. But this game is not a one-to-one Horizon. They took animals that were inspired, made after, okay? And that is part of this game. It's not the game. It's a one-to-one Horizon. So you're telling me you're going to take a animal from Horizon, put it next to the same exact animal, and nothing's going to be different. The triangles are not going to be squares. The squares are not going to be rectangles. It's going to be exactly the same. Exactly the same. You know this for 100% of a fact, Travis, that everything is a one-to-one replica of Horizon. You know this. You know this because you have a source. You have something that tells you this. I know you don't. I watched Luke Stevens break this down, and I don't know, but he does. He knows. So now, from him to you, you know. You know exactly it's a 1-to-1 comparison. All right, let me see. Let me find this Luke Stevens video. Because if Travis knows, then we all have to know if it's a 1-to-1. I'm not defending anything. You're the one that takes the stance of defending Sony because you're a Sony fan, which is fine. I'm just looking at the game for what it is and talking about the game. You saying, okay, so this is it. Tencent Horizon knockoff, right? This is 7 minutes.
Biggest gaming company in the world has revealed a new game. Again,
watch.
Tencent, largest in the world. The biggest gaming companies of 2023 by revenue. It depends on how you break it down, I guess, because this says Sony based on that revenue. I could have sworn it was this, but maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe, is it just 2023 acquire? Okay. One of the biggest, we'll say that. Let's try this again. So one of the biggest revenue generating companies in the world, Tencent, which, I mean, Tencent owns a little bit of everything. They own bits of, look at this, Funcom, Inflection, Fat Shark, Miniclip, Don't Nod, Shift Up, Epic Games. They own 35% of Epic Games. Bluebird Team, they own 22% of them. From Software, they own 6.
Did you share your PlayStation account, Travis? Did you share your PlayStation account?
16% of them. Krafton, they own 14%. Paradox, they own 10%. Ubisoft, they own 10% of Ubisoft. Katakawa, which is the parent company of From Software, they own 6.86% of them. Like, they own.
You don't like theft. Now, hold on a second. You don't like theft, but yet you're still playing PlayStation after Sony stole all your games from you.
A little bit of everything. They own a bunch of Discord. They own a bunch of Roblox. If there is a gaming company, they probably own a sliver of them. They are massive. Massive. Okay. They just revealed an upcoming game that looks vaguely similar to another game. Does it seem to have a similar style to another game you might recognize? Maybe just a tad. A red-headed girl protagonist with robo dinosaurs. It's a little similar. So there's a little tad. It's a tad similar. They posted some side-by-side screenshots. Okay, some side-by-sides of a few different creatures, such as a robotic woolly mammoth, a robotic fly thing. They posted some pictures. This is their game. This is Horizon.
Okay.
This is their game, or is this Horizon? I think this is right.
You can't even tell. You can't even tell. He's like, wait a minute, is this Horizon? Is this Horizon? I don't know which one's Horizon.
Horizon 2. Bunch of different side-by-sides. The fact I can't tell the difference makes it all the funnier.
It does. It does make it funny.
I mean, it's pretty damn near uncanny. It's hard to.
Well, here's the difference. I can tell you right off the bat. Ready? Are you ready for this?
I mean,
this one's silver and blue. This one is greenish and red. That is a difference. You like it or not, that is a difference. He's got a bunch of stuff on top of him. Right? Hold on.
This makes it all the funnier.
He has nothing up on top of the mammoth.
I mean,
and he does. Right? Hold on a second. Wait, there's more. There's more. There is differences here. Okay. if you look at the tusks, okay, which I've already proven this not a 1-to-1, by the way. Okay. The tusks, the way they are, look at those tusks and then look at his tusks, which are completely two different looks of the tusks. Now, yes, are they both robotic woolly mammoths? Yes. Do they both have tusks? Yes, they're woolly mammoths, right? That's what woolly mammoths look like.
It's pretty damn near uncanny. It's hard to tell the difference, honestly, in these screenshots. Now, everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing. This is a pretty much 1-to-1 copy of Horizon.
It's not a 1-to-1, but it is a copy of Horizon.
Now, they did post gameplay, and it seems like it plays much closer to a PAL world than it does to Horizon.
And if it does that, if it does PAL World and not Horizon, well, then it's not a clone.
It's also going to be coming to consoles, PC, and mobile. So it's one of those games that's built to scale. But this is what the gameplay actually looks like.
It's a 1-to-1. It's not a 1-to-1. It's not a 1-to-1.
Okay, so it's like far.
The fact that I can prove you on one still screenshot. Look at the tusk on that elephant. Look at it. Do you see it? Do you see the tusk is completely looks different than the tusk on this one right here?
Funnier.
Looks completely different. It's not a 1-to-1. You saying it's a 1-to-1 doesn't make it a 1-to-1. You could say that they've copied something, and you would be in every right to say that. But to say it's a 1-to-1, you're wrong. It's not a 1-to-1.
I mean, friends, everybody Horizon to a consoles, PC, and gameplay actually looks like. Okay, so it's like farming, base building. It's a pretty standard.
It's more PAL World than Horizon.
Survival game. Let's see if they have a bit with some robo dinosaurs. So everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows what this is. It's pretty hilarious to think that, oh, it's just parallel thinking. Like, everybody knows what this is.
Yeah,
the goal
we understand that they're borrowing and copying from things 100%.
is, as far as I can tell, to maybe appeal to people who like the Horizon art style, and then to also maybe get lucky and trick some people into downloading this on mobile if they have seen Horizon and are familiar with the look and tone, and then they download this and like, yeah, this doesn't play like I thought it did, but it works for me, and they just go along with it.
Because now you could say it's like PAL World, right? Because if I back up here a little bit, right? So where's the PAL World differences? Where's the Ark Survival?
But this is what the gameplay actually looks like. Okay, so it's like farming, base building.
It looks like you're collecting little robots here. That's a PAL World ripoff. Look, that's a duck. That's a dog. That's a bird. It's a platypus.
It's a pretty standard survival game. Let's see if they have a bit with some robo dinosaurs. So everybody knows what they're doing. Mobile if they have seen Horizon and are familiar with the look and tone, and then they download this and like, yeah, this doesn't play like I thought it did, but it works.
You better hope they don't throw any fucking balls at things.
For me, and they just go along with it. And I honestly think there's a lot of people that play games like that with like, oh yeah, I really like the look of Red Dead Redemption, but I've never played it, but I found this cowboy game that looks like it, sort of, and then you download it and it's like, oh, this is way worse than what I've seen about Red Dead, but I can work with it, and they just kind of hand wave it away and keep playing. Just that, the customer acquisition is a real...
Yeah, this is nothing like Horizon. Besides the actual robotic dog, elephant, bird, dinosaur, which they've changed to not be a 1-to-1.
Difficult thing to get through in the gaming industry, especially on mobile. And if they can bypass that by having a game that looks like just a clone of another well-established game, then that gives them what they want. I imagine Sony tries to sue them because,
sure,
like, it's pretty freaking hilarious. I mean, even down to the canisters, dude. The canisters are in the same exact spot. Like, come on. But It's one of the most blatant ripoffs I've seen. At least the gameplay's
Is it the most blatant ripoff? I don't know if it's the most blatant ripoff, but it's definitely a ripoff.
different. But I think it's different because it's easier to make a game like this than it is to make something like Horizon.
Of course
I
it
imagine
is.
Sony tries to sue. The tricky bits.
Uh-oh. Breath of the Wild. Gotta sue.
Oh, and then the Breath of the Wild. Again, it's like identical. The Breath of the Wild glider too. That's funny. But here's the thing. In order to get a lawsuit like that, at least in the US,
Was there no gliders before Breath of the Wild? Honest question here. Was there no gliders in a game? I remember gliders in a game before Breath of the Wild.
go through, you have to kind of like, the key thing is damages, proving damages. What I think Sony could do is they could say there will be people who download this game. It has the Destiny thing to it, dude. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They could say people are going to download this thinking it's Horizon.
It's literally got a fucking Destiny ghost. Got the Horizon animals. It's got the Elden Ring fighting mechanics.
And we will miss out on those sales. And then those customers are going to be.
I don't know if you can say that though. First of all, let me rewind what he just said.
It's Horizon, and we will miss out on those sales. And
Okay, we will miss out on those sales. I think that goes out the window. Here's why I think that goes out the window. Okay, if Sony wanted to sue and say, well, people could get confused and we lose out on those sales. Sorry, your thing is only on PlayStation. Okay. Years later, does your game come out on PC? This game is coming out to all consoles. Okay, all consoles. I would assume also PlayStation. Maybe PlayStation doesn't want it on there because, well, it's too close to Horizon. Then they get confused. Okay, but they're going to all platforms, including mobile. So they're not stopping or stealing your sales.
And then those customers are going to be buying a product and getting into a product that they did not mean to get into because.
What is he talking about right now? Are you telling me I'm going to look at a game and go, oh, that's Horizon, even though it doesn't say Horizon on there? Okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I thought I was playing Horizon. This is not the game I thought I was going to play. Like, what are we talking about?
Because this is such a one-to-one carbon copy. I don't know how it works.
I hate the word one for one because it's not a one for one.
Trying to sue people in like China because that's where Tencent's based. So I don't know if that makes it trickier. Obviously, China has a long storied history of copyright infringement, especially with the US.
At that trailer, Travis, I would 100% agree with you. But that's not what we're looking at now. We're looking at gameplay that looks nothing like Horizon.
In a lot of Western countries. I mean, it's like a meme at this point. The stereotype of the knockoff iPhone and stuff. Like it's a well-known thing nowadays. But
that's the gorilla from Dauntless.
I don't know if there is something they could do about it. I mean, it seems like a competently made survival game, very Palworld-esque, but like it's so clear that they're trying to rip off the style and everything of Horizon that it's like, I don't feel like this should be allowed. Like, they're getting called out for it now, but is that really
It's Optimus Primal, yeah.
going to affect anything? I don't think so.
I'll take a look at it in a second.
So one of the most hilarious things I've seen in a while, because it's not even like vaguely similar. Palworld, you could say like, oh, well, everybody knows like it's Pokemon, but it's its own thing. It has its own style.
What he just said applies to this as well, right? This has its own style. It's its own game because of what it's doing. It's not doing exactly what Horizon's doing. Yes, the animals look like Horizon.
It's in a gameplay style that Nintendo and the Pokemon Corporation they've never really messed with. So I can appreciate that it's similar, but it's also unique in its own way.
There's so many games that have gliders.
But this is just like straight up one-to-one Horizon until it's not. But
it's not a one-to-one.
I mean, the gaps where it's not are basically just in structure of gameplay. You're still fighting giant robot dinosaurs. You're still going through.
So did Horizon copy Transformers?
I guess the difference is survival, and then looks like maybe co-op is added too, but pretty hilarious. So, so there's that.
Look,
if Sony,
I agree that there's copying going on. I disagree that it's a one-to-one copy.
I mean, Nintendo had their hands full trying to sue the Pal World devs, and now maybe Sony is going to get their feet wet with a lawsuit against these guys. Because, I mean, that's one of the most... the fact that the screenshots, it's hard to tell which is which, that's pretty funny.
I mean, I could tell, but...
That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's like Horizon from Temu. Basically, yeah.
It's Horizon Temu. Pretty good. Pretty good.
It's happening, guys. We're finally getting...
That's pretty good. Let me add this to the list in our description, because I didn't know we were going to watch Luke Smith from Bungie. Let me add Luke Stevens. All the stuff that we watch or comment on this channel is in the descriptions down below, so make sure you go check those out. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Power World is Ark Survivor with Pokemon elements. NFT says the mashup game because it has a bit of piece of games. Yeah, it's all over the place with what it's in it, right? It starts off, I thought it was Destiny. Like straight up Destiny. I was like, oh, this is I thought it was when the trailer started, I thought it was Destiny 3. I thought it was an announcement for Destiny 3 or some sort of expansion for Destiny. And then I was like, oh, that's not anything like that. Sony has placed the order to put the game on PlayStation 5. Is that true, Raymond? Because that would even be funnier. Because people that are Sony fans are upset that this is a Horizon game, but yet PlayStation said, yeah, let's put it on the system. That's fantastic. Do you know why they put it on there? They're like, this could be our PAL world. This could be our PAL world. And Cliff says, I'm not going to lie. I hope this game has PAL world success. Oh, what did you send me? Sent me the glider thing. Games that had gliders. 8 games that had gliders before Breath of the Wild. There you go. Okay. Check it out. We have Just Cause. Okay. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening had a glider. Okay. Assassin's Creed 2 had a glider. Batman Arkham Asylum sort of had a glider. He had his wings. Banjo, sorry. Little Big Planet. They had glide mechanics. Lego Dimensions. Yeah, but the reason that this, not gliding, mechanic gliding, actual glider, the actual glider, there's a difference, right? You can make gliding, but like Fortnite has a glider, right? Fortnite has the glider. Jesse Mack says, no lawsuit for Sony on this game, and Japanese people love robot stuff way before Sony made Horizon. NFT says, copying happens on this day basis with games and movies, and everything would also have to delete 100%. Right. And look, there's always going to be copying. When someone says a one-to-one, that's where I have a problem, right? One-to-one means you're taking exactly what it is. Again, an asset in Epic Games, like if I go to the store and buy an asset, if it's a guy, jumping over a car, and I use that in my game, that doesn't mean I'm stealing something from it, right? I purchased it and put it in the game. It's part of a mechanic in the bigger scope of the game, right? So you're allowed to take assets and use the assets. And then obviously as gamers, we look at it and go, it looks a little weird that you just took the asset as is. A little lazy. If you just took an asset from the store and put it in your game and you didn't change anything about it, okay? But if you take an asset from the store and then add to it or subtract from it or do certain things so the bulk of the work is already done for you, cool. As gamers, we look at that and say, I don't like this. Looks like an asset flip type of thing. You could say this looks like an asset flip type of stuff, right? Because looking at this trailer and looking at the day before, right? Everyone's like, oh, the day before. When people start breaking it down, they start looking at, oh, this is an asset flip. I don't think this is an asset flip. I think this is a copying. They saw what Pal World was. They went, what if we do Pal World, but instead of the cartoony graphic type stuff, we take it and we make it look like Horizon themed. They're like, we'll use the robots and we'll change those robots and we'll make it into the world of that. Everyone's like, oh, that seems like a pretty good idea, right? You're allowed to use things as long as you make it your own. Let's see. Travis says, oh, here's a funny thing. Kraken, I hate it, and I'm also upset at the angry honesty. If people play it, that's fine. It proves to me that it's okay with theft, but it's not on my job. Care more about morale. Here's the thing, though, Travis. You're standing on a soapbox right now, right? You're standing on a soapbox right now, but you literally were your account for Sony. Sony stole your games from you. And yet you're still supporting the company that stole your games from you. And then if you don't like whatever happened behind the scenes, and you're like, well, it wasn't that. They said I did certain things and broke TOS, that's also theft because you were sharing your account or whatever, and you got bumped for it. You see what I'm saying? 30. So if the creature, let's say the woolly mammoth moves the exact same as Horizon, is the exact same moveset, then it is theft. No, it's not theft. It's not theft. You're allowed to use things, but you're using them in different ways. Just found AMD Radeon 9 for $464. Seriously thinking? Bracket says, Sony can do no wrong. Yeah, I just don't understand how you can stand here and say, well, morals and I hate theft, and yet the company stole your games from you, and you're like, I'm still playing. I'm just saying, it comes off a little weird. Is it theft if it looks the same and if it moves the same? It's theft. No, because it's not the exact same game as Horizon. That game that we just looked at is not a Horizon game. Again, you're moving the goalpost because you said it was a 1-to-1, and it's not a 1-to-1. What about this? All right, if I take an animal from this game, but I take the fighting mechanics from this game, and I take the art style from this game, and then I put it all together, okay? Is that theft? Because this one never did that thing, and this one never did that thing, and this one never did that thing. I'm taking all three of these things, putting them in a game, and then I'm doing my thing with it. Is that theft? Okay, clearly you see IP theft differently than I do. That's okay. Because you can't patent certain things, right? Like what Nintendo's doing to Pal World is absolute bullshit because they didn't even have the patent before the game came out. They got competition. They put the patent so they could stop Pal World from making money. Competition, okay? This game is making a game that's like Pal World or Ark Survival or whatever else, and they use this, right? Intellectual property, okay, they own the IP of Horizon. But everything that's in Horizon, the assets of it, they do not have an patent infringement on it. Unless they've taken those steps. And if they've taken those steps because they don't want anyone else to be able to make robotic animals, well, then show us the patent. because that would be theft. Roic says, is it theft if another company made a first-person shooter game and it had the same art style as Borderlands? Would that be theft? No. No, it wouldn't. All right, let's see what these guys say. This is from Tencent announces a blatant Horizon Zero Dawn knockoff called Light of Mortaram. Tencent has announced the developer of Polaris Quest that has also been releasing a new game, okay, for PC, which looks awfully a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn. The announcement came yesterday, okay, revealing that the game is launched on PC on Steam and Epic Game Store, but publishers did not give an official release date. The game has already been ripped apart on social media for being a fairly blatant Horizon Zero Dawn ripoff, but it has also attached some images below that make your own minds. Okay. Okay, the summary of this is that the Earth of human civilization as we know it, it are gone. Across the untamed wilderness, giant mechanical beasts roam freely, while humanly struggling to rebuild the dawn of the new primitive era. Journeys from the lush tropical rainforest, burned desert landscapes, and also snow-capped mountain peaks. Discover unique mechanical mechamals and mysterious ruins in different regions, gradually uncovering the secrets. Okay, in the wilderness, the civilization is a distant memory. Primal cultures, extreme weather, lurking mecha animals. I don't know. Fucking right. Faced against the formidable boss and also step in front. The fraught of danger requires courage. Only to overcome the challenges of survival, you can also carve out places yourself in the unforgiven land. Realistic physics-based building. Okay, so they got building in there, like a Pal World, like an Ark Survival, like a Conan. Unleash the creativity of the free-form building system, powered by realistic physics simulation, construction of fortified strongholds, or cleverly designed shelters, even beam brick, or subject to the real-world physics forces. Ensuring that the structures are both visual stunning and able to withstand environmental challenges. Let your imagination run wild and explore the endless possibilities of architecture. Precise combat, epic boss fights, dodge a block, counterattack, and precise timing executions. Sharpen your battle skills in life and death situations. Okay, don't forget to coordinate with your animals, mechamals. Choosing the right companion can also be the combat as effective. Right, so now you're taking your, as we saw in the trailer, you're taking your animals and you're using them to battle with. So you got that Pal World / Pokemon type of feel where they're actually fighting for you. Over 100 customizable mechamals await your taming and training. Whether you need to combat support or boost your to production, each of them possess a unique ability and growth potential. So not only do they start off small, but then they also grow into bigger beasts and whatnot. You get to collect them all. Aww. And you can also give them exclusive battle mods or modes and production traits, transforming them into the most powerful allies. Seamless co-op and cross-play. Team up with 10 players to tackle daunting challenges together. No matter where you are, embark adventures with your friends anytime and enjoy seamless gaming experience from hunting mechanical beasts, gathering resources to construct projects, and progress never stops. I mean, sounds exactly like a Conan. Sounds exactly like a Pal World, but looks like Horizon. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Sarge says Tencent versus Sony, ultimate battle, but just like Mike Tyson fight. Roic says, I agree. We can use the same styles as long as its mechanics are different. Make for competition and makes them try to do out each other, giving the better games. Well, it is interesting that if what who said it up above, but they said that PlayStation made the bid to put this on their system. If that doesn't tell you they have no problem with it, then I don't know what does. Right? If that's true. Robert Jones says, if anyone makes another game themed like Cyberpunk 2077, people will say that they stole from the game, even though the game stole from the theme, from the book, and from other games. Right? No, see, that's a good point, Jones. Right? If another Cyberpunk game comes out, they'd be like, oh, they took it from Cyberpunk. It'd be like, well, no, it's a genre. That's a thematic, like medieval, cyberpunk, sci-fi, right, type of stuff. 30. Wait, it's a survival game? It's the trash. I mean, you played Ark, didn't you, Travis? You played Fallout 76, didn't you? I mean, I hate to tell you, that's what those were. Chris says maybe PlayStation is accepting this game in order to appease Tencent and make it easier to acquire. Tencent owns a similar amount of shares as Sony does. Oh, that's another good point, Chris. Right? Because if Sony buys Tencent, or not buys Tencent, but they buy that company, that'll be very interesting. That'll be very interesting. Look, I personally don't see a problem with it. I don't. As a consumer looking at that going, yeah, it does look like a Horizon. But reading more about the game, seeing more about the game, seeing the game mechanics, they're fine. They're fine. Now, if there's a mechanic in there that someone has patented or something like that, then sure. Doesn't sound one-to-one and isn't. Yeah, no, that was my point. I don't think it's a one-to-one. When you say one-to-one, it has to be one-to-one, and I already pointed out multiple changes for those things. Jesse Max says a great example. If other company made other Batman Arkham game, not made for Rocksteady, and they made application that the Rocksteady did what they used, it's not theft. HyperX headset, $60. I'll look out after I get off stream. Charge. Lucas says art is nothing more than copy and inspiration. Nothing is new. Look at the artist and then look at the inspiration. Artists just continue to work on those who are no more. Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you can take the thing and then change it, and add and subtract and you make it your own. Argus says Sony isn't much of a hard ass about this stuff as Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo wants to protect their patents and whatnot. What's going on, Mo? What'd you miss? You missed that game that we're talking about that looks like Horizon. People saying it's a one-to-one, and I'm like, it's not a one-to-one. Art style is one-to-one. It's also not a one-to-one. Like, literally, not a one-to-one. Like, I think you have your definition of one-to-one. One-to-one is a copy. It's not one-to-one. Not one-to-one. They've changed it. But they've kept it enough similar to it, literally to one-to-one. No, it's not. No. Now, don't get me wrong. This picture right here, which doesn't look anything like the girl inside the actual video game, this is 100%, but this is what they do. Chinese companies and stuff like that, they're looking at this going, yeah, to make it look like it's her. 100%. That is scummy business practice, what they're trying to do here as far as the marketing goes. Okay? But when you look at the other features of the game, it's not a one-to-one. Okay, because the main protagonist that you were using, well, then again, you probably make your own character. So you could make your own character like there, but all right. Let's go to the second story. Guys, like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just talk about gaming stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay, Baldur's Gate 3 Patch 8 comes next year and includes crossplay, photo mode, and more. Larian Studios has announced that Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8 will officially release next year and will include a number of highly anticipated features and requests. Before we bid adieu to the search of stranger shores, we have one more major patch waiting for around the corner, Larian said. Arriving next year, this update will introduce some of the most eagerly awaited features of Baldur's Gate 3 crossplay and photo mode, along with 12 new subclasses. Regarding crossplay, Baldur's Gate 3 will feature a full crossplay between all available platforms, as well as cross-platform and progression. Once the update is live, you'll be able to invite your friends to join your crossplay lobby directly, regardless of platform. Find available multiplayer lobbies with friends and other systems using the Larian network, they said. Okay. With photo mode, players will also be able to set up these shots from the game in the manner that they prefer, and the feature will also add a whole slew of options for players that let them customize the edit in-game photography. Latest, there will also be 12 new subclasses added to the game. Each class within the game will get new subclasses, giving their players new ways to play the character. Those subclasses are Bard, Barbarian, Clergy, Druid, Paladin, Fighter, Monk, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Okay. You can also get full details on each of these new subclasses, as well as different photo mode settings and other planned updates via the studio's community update. The firm launch date for Baldur's Gate 3 Patch 8 will be announced at a later date. And what do you think? The first details. So, I want to know. This is a patch. Do patches qualify for Game of the Year? Hey, are we going to take a vote on if patches are part of the ongoing game support, right? So is it able because they're adding new classes? Does it change up the entire game? If DLC do? I mean, I just want to know where the standards are, Travis, right? You know what I mean? Like, if they're adding characters or subclasses to the game, does that make Baldur's Gate 3 a contention for next year's Game of the Year? Argus says, do player-made mods count for Game of the Year? They should. Why not, Argus? Let's just throw them all in there. Z says, why the hell not? They can't seem to come up with any other interesting other categories, right? Yeah, let's put patches. Take the ongoing. I just saw the goat put by Sarge. Ongoing game, and put it in there. Why not? I think. Look, this might get me over the hump of 11 and a half hours. I have 11 and a half hours in this game. I loved my 11 and a half hours in the game. Just put it in perspective. I downloaded Path of Exile 1 last night, and I played for 3.5 hours. I played Baldur's Gate 3 for 11 and a half. I'll surpass that with Path of Exile within the next couple days. Fallout London would like to have a word. Yeah. That's a separate game, but that's not made by, right? It's mods. That should be, Kylo. That should be up there for nomination, something. Yeah, just silly. We're throwing everything in there. Next year, we might get just put the next dungeon pass for the game up. Game of the Year, content, even. Yeah, just put everything. Season Pass, game, Season Pass, Battle Pass, patch, DLC, reboot, and remakes. All for contention for Game of the Year and for all categories going forward. Why not? Let's do it. This patch is fixing the game on crack. It's not even fixing anything. It's adding stuff. The cross progression and crossplay is going to be big. Travis says, new category, best game that's not new. That's not new. Disc of the Year. Game of the Year nom goes to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Season 3 Battle Pass. Yeah. I have a story for Call of Duty, which is funny. I'll bring it up right now. Right, this one's funny because Black Ops 6 players willing to pay for the ability to turn off obnoxious skins. I saw this title and I was just like, didn't I mention something? Where I don't remember. I thought it was on a GXG episode, right? I thought it was on a GXG episode. I'm not sure. I would have to go back and check. But I could have sworn jokingly, I said to Sarge, I said they'll because we were talking about like the sloths and Mickey Minaj and all the things they were adding to Call of Duty, and I said Call of Duty has lost its like what it was. Now it's just Fortnite for the higher tier people. And I could have sworn I said they'll sell you where you can shut off the mods. And now we have people that literally want to shut it off, which I don't think is going to happen, right? So some vocal Black Ops 6 players are over prominence of bright and colorful skins in their Call of Duty matches, to the point that they're now willing to pay the ability to disable the skins entirely, which I think is fucking genius, I have to say. Which is, you want theft? Here it is, okay? Don't worry about the Horizon theft. This is the theft, right? I haven't read the article yet, but just off that, if they got to shut off and disable the skins, think about this, right? They want you to buy the skins so you can flaunt the skins so other people see your skins and then make the purchases, right? Other people want to buy the skins because they want to teabag you with a sloth or Cheech and Chong or whatnot. But now, if someone can purchase to shut off, where I just see the normal game as it was intended originally back in the day, they literally made the problem, sell you the solution, and then they shut it off. And then the people that have their cosmetic skins that can't see it because it's in first person will now buy skins that these people can't see because they don't want to see them. Like, oh, man, it's fantastic. So for a larger portion of the Call of Duty history, the game has put players in the shoes of faceless soldiers. Gun camo is all about the customization you had. However, Call of Duty business model has grown and have microtransactions and skin options. The game strays further and further from being a military shooter. Yeah, no, it's not even close anymore. Some of these skins are celebrated by fans and are now absolutely ridiculous. Okay, who would have thought that Snoop Dogg in a Call of Duty game? However, others want the authentic Call of Duty experience back in the way they remember it. Yeah, you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go find a different game. You're gonna have to go find a different game. They don't want to make that game for you anymore. If you're looking for that game, there's Hell Let Loose. I would say go play an old Battlefield. Don't play the new Battlefields. Okay, Redditor and Breadloaf start a conversation, him claiming it's impossible to immerse himself in the game when a neon green dragon with a stupid wing comes flying around the corner with a gun that shoots bright orange bullets that makes the whole screen explode into a laggy mess of stupid gobbly-gum effects. Okay, this player went as far as offering to pay money to not see the skins. Black Ops 6 has already been accused of having pay-to-win audio, so there isn't a huge stretch for reference. This is an example of a type of skin he's talking about, right? So we got the shark skin. Okay, the series is going from a arcade, yet somewhat grounded military shooter in the days of Call of Duty 4 to having sharks swimming around, certainly departure from the series' roots. But however you feel about it, it's everything universally true. The skins make Activision money. Sure they do. Sure they do. It says, however, much would be willing to smaller than the money that makes those skins out of luck, sadly. But Redditor replied, he says, my brother in Xbox, even the coffers of ancient Babylon, Roman of China would also not be enough to make Activision turn them off. Said another one in a statement in the sense of someone who's bought the skins on purpose for showing them off to other players. They'll surely be made it if they learned other players in the lobby paid to make them invisible. So what is the stance? It seems unlikely to roll out the stop of COD over-the-top operator weapon skins. Those looking for a more grounded, realistic experience may have to look elsewhere. Yeah, you're going to have to go to another game because the Call of Duty is no longer Call of Duty of the past. It's literally Fortnite 2.0, right? It's what Fortnite after you graduate from Fortnite. So if you played Fortnite, been playing since like 2017, let's say you're like 12, like my son's 10 years old, he just started playing, right? So maybe 5-6 years from now, maybe he'll graduate to Call of Duty around like 16, 17, and then he starts playing Call of Duty, and then it goes right in there, right? That's what it is, right? Call of Duty is Fortnite 2.0. Gotta buy your skins, which I always find funny. At least in Fortnite, it's a third-person game, even though they're putting a first-person mode in. But Call of Duty is a first-person game, right? So you never see your skin. The only point of buying the skin is to let other people see the skin that you bought. Call of Duty after Fortnite Warfare. That's exactly right, Altern. It's Fortnite for adults. Young adults. That's what Call of Duty has turned into. You can't even find the old Call of Duty within the game. He'll be in Call of Duty in 6 months. Not in my household. Not in my household, Road. Not at 10. Travis says Fortnite for man babies is the correct term. All right. The next story is 5 years later, Disney confirms that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is getting remade. True? Is this true? You can play in third person in Call of Duty. That's only in a certain game mode, is it not, Road? It's not in the entire game modes. It's only in a certain game mode. Jesse Mack says fake news. Well, let's see. Okay. So Thomas Hitchin writes that 5 years ago, Walt Disney Company closed out its Star Wars sequel trilogy, not with a bang, but with a fizzle. The culmination of 4-year movies came with J.J. Abrams' Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, which for all intents of purpose left most fans rolling their eyes and scratching their heads. Yeah, but everyone will tell you it's a success, right? It made $1 billion, so that means it's real, right? That means it's successful because it made the money. But it didn't make the money that the thought it was going to make. Okay, the first one made, I think, two. I got to look it up. Let's look up the box office mojo Star Wars franchise for Star Wars. Let's see here. We got Episode 8. We got Episode 7. And we got Episode 9. So Episode 7 made $2 billion. Episode 8 made $1.3 billion. That's a hell of a drop. Let me tell you. $2 billion to $1.3 billion. And then the last one made $1 billion, which is $300 million less than that. But it's successful, right? It's successful because, well, it's Star Wars, right? No, they've completely destroyed. Half a decade later, Star Wars has confirmed it will remake The Rise of Skywalker and include never-before scenes. Okay, Lucasfilm, The Rise of Skywalker began a movie drought for the studio, has yet to be broken, and it won't be until 2026 when Jon Favreau and The Mandalorian Grogu hits the big screen on May 22nd. Now, Favreau's movie came to surprise when he announced in January this year, especially because it was not the one of the 3 new films revealed on Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy's 2023 Star Wars celebration. Well, all of those movies have completely vanished, okay? Completely vanished. At the event, Kennedy shared that James Mangold, Chairman Chinoy, and also Dave Filoni would also be helming new stories of Star Wars franchise. Mangold would also delve into the origins of the Force in a, well, we just know what those are now. Dawn of the Jedi movie, while would also bring Daisy Ridley's Rey Skywalker back into the fold with the post-sequel of the new Jedi Order movie. As for Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer, Filoni was also been tasked of wrapping up the Mandoverse of the New Republic era with a huge crossover movie. Okay, apart from the news, production rose regarding the Rey Skywalker movie and Ridley herself saying that Rey would be taking on the Luke Skywalker role in the galaxy far, far away, noting concrete has been shared about any of these projects, leaving them some fans to wonder whether that they will ever see the light of day. Lucasfilm has after all, has not great track record on following through with developing projects. The fact that there was also now questions surrounding filming of the newest Simon Kinberg X-Men Dark Phoenix film has also been tapped for produce a new Star Wars trilogy, which is some belief will be the episodes 10 through 12. Okay. This seems a clash with the expectations that Rey movie would also be episode 10 and continue on from the sequel trilogy. This was the worst thing they've ever done. They could have just taken Star Wars and they could have went to the Old Republic. They could have went way into the future. They could have went way in the past. But no, they had to put it right up against there because the jangling of the keys. Okay, it seems a clash. It could also mean that the Rey will get pulled from the new Jedi Order movie. A source close to Star Wars studio recently claimed that Ridley's Rey was the most important cinematic asset in the franchise. Oh man, that's going to be a hard sell. That's going to be a hard sell. Ridley, a newcomer at the time, received internal recognition when they began the Star Wars journey of Abrams' Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, alongside John Boyega, which they completely destroyed his character. And Adam Driver doesn't want to come back at all. He's done. So we'll see what happens there. While the first presumed it plucked the obscurity into the galaxy war, Rey was revealed at the Palpatine in the final moments of Rise of Skywalker, which is the dumbest thing ever. There was an interview with Ridley where she talked about how they were talking about after Episode 7. They were talking about two different things. That one, he could have been Obi-Wan's kid or grandkid, or also a Luke Skywalker. But then they didn't know what they were doing. And then Episode 8 came out and destroyed all of that. And then Episode 9 came out and they had to restitch it back in. But instead of, they had to subvert your expectations. Okay. So the return of Emperor Palpatine was a huge point of consideration, contingency, actually. Identity to throw away used the Knights of Ren, Kylo Ren, and Rey's Kiss, former sacrifice, in addition of the Sith Eternal. List goes on. Over the years since the Rise of Skywalker debut, Star Wars constantly expanded unexplained plot points in the film through other canon shows, tie-in media like novels, graphic novels, companion books, which they had a whole legacy, and they said, we have nothing to pull from, which was the biggest bullish. Kathleen Kennedy saying they have nothing to pull from is just as bad as Bungie saying that the microtransactions paid for the content in the game. Okay? It's such a big load of shit inside of the thing. Okay? So Star Wars Secrets of the Sith 2021 confirmed that Hal's also Supreme Leader Snoke was created while Dave Filoni and the Bad Batch committed to Palpatine's Force-sensitive cloning efforts in canon history. That said, newly remade versions of The Rise of Skywalker has been confirmed, which also seamlessly offers fans more well-rounded experience that many felt was lacking 5 years ago. I am not watching this. I don't care if they do the director's cut and they add 80 minutes to the goddamn thing. They could swap out the entire cast. It doesn't matter. That movie is done. Garbage. Okay. Written by Jodie Hauser, drawn by the artist Will Sinley, previously announced 5-issue limited series brings 2019 Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker film to page at last. Marvel.com wrote earlier this month, in addition to retelling the Resistance desperate last stand, shocking return of Emperor Palpatine, the more of the series will also include new scenes not in the film. So they're not even putting it in film. They're putting it in a goddamn comic book to retell the story. The 5 issues adaptation, well, that saves me time because I wasn't going to watch it anyway. I'm definitely not going to read it. Of Rise of Skywalker will launch on February 2025. Around the same time, Charles Soule will bring Kylo Ren back into the limelight with Star Wars Legacy of Vader. Soule's book charts Kylo Ren's obsession with his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader is set in between the events of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And there's a chance that the comic book remake of The Rise of Skywalker will not defer too much from the information shared in the Carson's 2020 novelization of the movie. But as stated earlier, Star Wars loves to pack more context into everything in a new chapter of the franchise. Okay. I don't know about this, man. The problem with this is when the water's tainted, it doesn't matter what you do. No one's going to drink from the well. You see what I'm saying? Like, these characters, I liked Daisy Ridley. I did. I thought Force Awakens was a good, right? Speaking of a one-to-one, right? They basically took the same shots as the first movie and put it into The Force Awakens. Okay? Obviously, they changed it up a bit, but the composition of it was a one-to-one. Obviously, the actors, the talent, everything about it was different, but the shots the way they were done was a 1-to-1 of New Hope, okay? Because they were trying to get back to that essence of what brought Star Wars, the magic, of why people liked it. But they honestly don't know. The people that run Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, they don't know what makes it work. They're completely confused, right? They thought they were going to bring it and go, oh, we'll just do the same type of story type of thing. We'll just connect it to the Luke Skywalker saga, okay? And they completely botched it, okay? Completely botched it. They took something, speaking of the first trailer, when you see John Boyega pop up and he's a stormtrooper, takes his helmet off, and he's a black stormtrooper, we're like, okay, right? Like, all of a sudden, we start thinking, is that Lando's kid? I know it sounds bad, but when you look at what we knew what the time set was, we're like, oh, well, is that Lando's kid? Is he got something to do? Is it a new character? Who is it? We don't know. Ooh, a stormtrooper, right? We were all happy for a moment because we were like, what's going to happen here? Then they took that character, and from one movie, I've never seen such a change. From one movie to the next, it was like, what the hell happened? And then from the second movie to the third movie was even a bigger swing than his character, and they completely botched it. Him and Poe, right? What's Oscar Isaac? Is that his name? Right? His character, they destroyed his character as well. And Rey, say what you want, through the 3 films, was the best character growth, but no one gave a shit. No one gave a shit because they didn't even know. Like, the people making the movie didn't know what they wanted to do with her. How do you take a franchise that's been around for that long, decide to start filming, and not write or make the trilogy before you started filming? And you're like, we'll get to it later. We'll get to her later. We don't know who she is. She's just some drunk kid, right? Some drunks had her, and then it's nobody. And then all of a sudden now she's a Palpatine, which then changes to a Skywalker. It's like, what? Like, Disney has completely botched this so bad that we haven't had a Star Wars film in 5 years. 5 years. And now they shit on Mandalorian, okay? I watched the first season and second season, didn't watch the third season. But now they're trying to, like, change that so much that when they gave up Grogu in season 2, and they had to change it instantaneously because they didn't know what the hell they were doing, again, because they didn't write anything, they changed it, and now he's back into the picture because that's what they're writing on. They're not writing on good story. They're not writing on anything else. What they're writing on is Grogu, right? Because we still don't know who he is. Is he Yoda's kid? We don't know, right? That's what they're writing on, which is so sad. Okay, which is so sad that they had so much. I just wish they would just stop. Just stop. Take a breath and go, what do we want to do with this? Let's not connect it anymore, okay? Because the problem, and we've had this conversation on the chat before, where Star Wars is all about the Skywalker saga. It just is. Like, Star Wars started as a Skywalker, as Harry Potter, right? Started with that, and they try to go and connect it again, and connect it. There's so many stories that you can go tell. There's so many things that you can go do, and they're like, no, Jangle Keys. You like Luke Skywalker? You like Princess Leia? You like Han Solo? And they didn't do anything to it, right? And it's just sad, right? So much so that IGN constantly pushed against all the people that didn't like the Star Wars. They're like, it's the greatest. So good. So good. Oh, Disney Star Wars is great. Disney stop announcing Star Wars movies and make one, okay? Now they're angry. They're like, okay. Another week, another Star Wars announcement that leads to signs of all over the internet, despite Daisy Ridley saying that a few weeks ago that Rey's focused Star Wars movie was evolving. We get an update soon. And the news came soon after that, and the next untitled Star Wars film has been yanked from its December 18th, 2026 release date, okay, and replaced with Ice Age 6, okay? So we're supposed to get a movie 2 years from now, which now they've moved completely, and they put Ice Age 6. I didn't even know there was an Ice Age 4 and 5, I'll be honest with you, okay? Whether or not it's exciting for Ice Age 5, okay, John Leguizamo incoming, okay? Certainly not a great sign. That was also supposed to crown jewel of franchise in Disney's lineup when they purchased the property back in 2012, is now being evolved or shoved aside for yet another talking animal movie in 2024. And yet, it's not all surprising, regardless of anyone's thoughts on the quality of the individual projects. The Disney Star Wars era has been rife with corporate mismanagement. Well, we can agree there, right? We can all agree there that the mismanagement's absolute shit. Constant second guessing, the inability to envision the future of the property beyond proliferating from its past. It said a state of affairs that also Lucasfilm has been also doing far too long, to the point of what the time has stopped giving the company a credence of unless they go through a serious realignment. Let's take a look at what else also needs to stop paying attention to Star Wars. Okay, the Phantom movies. The Rey movie currently set and directed, okay, may not have been in the movie that also lost its release date, but it's also most likely wasn't even a thought in the film recently lost. Peaky Blinders creator, okay, writer also reported indicated that Rey is important to the multiple development projects, so her movie, supposedly set after Rise of Skywalker, is established the new Jedi Order, which is so dumb, because they literally, and this is why it won't work. This is why the well is tainted, okay, because there's books out there with Luke Skywalker making the school, okay, by bringing back the Order. And that was supposed to be, that was it. Luke Skywalker, before 7, 8, and 9, Luke Skywalker was the one bringing back the Jedi, was teaching the Jedi, okay? And they're like, no, see you later. And then they brought in Rey, and now Rey took the place of Luke, and now she's going to do it because he couldn't do it. Okay, which is you've already shunned all the people that like the Disney, not the Disney films, that like the original Star Wars, that liked Star Wars, Luke Skywalker and those characters. Okay, so the most candidate to launch the next wave of Star Wars films, Night departing to also the project would also be the understandable reason why the film had to be pushed back, as Lucasfilm scrambles to find someone new to pen the script. But the situation, standard operating procedure for the studio, not. Here's the thing. It's amazing to me that they can't find someone to write a script. How do you not find someone? Just 15 years ago, people would have died to give their left leg or whatever to make the next Star Wars script. And now everyone's like, nah, I'm good. Nope, I'm good. So far more Star Wars projects have been announced and failed to materialize, and actually has been produced during the Disney era. Game of Thrones showrunner David, these guys, dumbass and dumbass, the wise. Also, last season of their most famous project, because they also hired to develop a Star Wars trilogy, only to be let go. Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, was also had a trilogy announced and hasn't come together. The official story is that it's also because of his comments to Knives Out sequel over Netflix, which also sure. Josh Trank and James Mangold were also both various points of attached to the Boba Fett spin-off film, and also later reworked into the streaming series. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, Watiti, also untitled film, Mangold's Dawn of the New Jedi film, Lando spin-off starring Donald Glover, Sean Levy's untitled film, the New Republic era movie. Dave Filoni also had been announced for reporter of the Hollywood trades, but currently MIA. Right? How many trilogies? They're just handing out trilogies. They're like, yeah, come work for us. We'll give you a trilogy. You got a trilogy. You get a trilogy. You get a trilogy. Everyone gets a trilogy. Okay. To say it's unlikely that most these films will come into fruition is extreme understatement. Okay, Lucasfilm has repeatedly announced the projects you have no real groundswell behind them, or groundswell behind them, seemingly hoping that they'll also have memories of the goldfish that we won't recall how many times they pulled the rug out from under us. Does anyone seriously believe that the last report of the X-Men producer upcoming trilogy panned out differently? Has Lucasfilm really banked on their future of Dark Phoenix guy? Or are we just behind our time until we get more? It's also departed the project 6 to 12 months from now. Given the company's history, latter is far more likely than it should. Okay, episode 9 problem. The biggest reason why it's also stated is the Rise of Skywalker detonated the franchise theoretically. Okay, yes, the last entry of Skywalker Saga managed to barely crawl over the billion. I love that we actually can say that. Like, this person can say that. Barely went over $1 billion. Can we just say $1 billion? $1 billion for any movie is insane. Okay? But $1 billion for Star Wars? Because the first one made $2 billion, and this one barely skirted by $1 billion. That's uncanny. Okay? Huge downturn from The Force Awakens, mind you. But the film is also created a disaster, spending so much of its time trying to walk back the previous film that it rendered the entire sequel trilogy to exercise. Rian Johnson literally imploded Star Wars. Whatever J.J. Abrams, Lawrence Kasdan, also everyone else in Lucasfilm imagined the new trilogy to be when they started working on Force Awakens, it likely wasn't a limp spirit to the boss fight. Palpatine completely bereft the stakes of the gravitas. The trilogy has also some interesting new characters, and The Last Jedi tried to add thematic depth and proceedings, but The Rise of Skywalker threw all that out and tired retread and reeks of desperation. 100%. And yes, Solo, a Star Wars story, was actually bombed the previous year, but that was also much lower stakes affair in terms of the effect. Well, that lost like $200 to $300 million for them, being a spin-off of a single character. The movie hadn't essentially been shot twice, ballooning the budget out of control. Can you imagine? They filmed it all and said, you know what? We got to film it all again. Hey, all right, that's a wrap, everybody. Right? I can imagine, like, if I got on the set, worked on it, and then you're done, right? I get my check, I go home, and then years later, all of a sudden I watch it and I go, wait a minute, I didn't film that. Film that. Be like, oh no, they redid the whole movie. Be like, what? That's insane. Ballooning budget, but finally, the Skywalker saga should have been the biggest movie of the year by default. Yet, not only did Episode 9 not measure up to the previous entries of the box office, okay, but it's also one of the roughest reviews and the worst cinematic score of any film in the series. Within the only 4 years, audience went from incredibly excited, okay, of Star Wars and Lucasfilm, hasn't been able to get a new film off the ground in a time since, instead of retreating to middle comforts of the Disney Plus shows. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. If this doesn't show you that they've completely lost all trust, I would say 90% of the fans, I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but I would say majority, I'll just say majority of fans that were fans of Star Wars are no longer fans of Star Wars. They don't care, right? I used to watch Star Wars just in the background, right? If I was flipping through channels when I had cable, if it showed up on television, I would watch it or put it on, okay? I no longer do that. I used to buy the DVD collection. I used to buy multiple copies. I used to buy toys. I used to buy all of the stuff. I don't care about any of it. Any of it. Okay? Like, I still look at stuff, and I'm like, oh, man, that'd be cool. And I'm like, nah, I don't care. Okay? And that's what they've lost. They've burnt all goodwill with the past audience, and the new audience doesn't really know what Star Wars is because they didn't watch the originals. They weren't there at the beginning. They came along the way, and they like it, but they don't love it. Okay? They're just like, yeah, just entertain me. Literally invented the modern blockbuster template to see the franchises in such a sorry state theatrically is disheartening. And no, putting the 4th season of Mandalorian on hold and releasing it what is also likely amount to TV special from Mando and Grogu. Yeah, the Mando movie is basically season 4 drawn out into a movie. That's what it's going to be. It reinforces that the value of Star Wars brand has plummeted to the point that it might not ever be recovered from. Yeah, it probably won't ever recover from it. So Disney bought it, destroyed it, and that's what they'll sit on. Okay. It says, what makes it even more depressing to think about this is that Lucasfilm walking back the second-guessing the creative decision and clearly being done is to fear of their own audience. Now, to be fair, Rogue One underwent a significant reshoots before the tide turned against the franchise, but the movie came out on the other side of a strong entry and also introduced Tony Gilroy to the series, who also give it a pass. But since the Leia mixed online reception, The Last Jedi, Lucasfilm has been a full-blown panic. The Rise of Skywalker feels like a plea for the fans not to make any more angry YouTube videos about and The Last Jedi, and the tripling down nostalgia out of the fear of anything that could also perceive indifferent subvert has turned as subsequential projects into diet version of something used to like years ago. Okay? From deepfake Luke Skywalker strolling onto the screen in the 2nd season of Mandalorian, despite the stand used a look-like of the young Mark Hamill who stepped out of the time warp, focusing Rosario Dawson as Mary Elizabeth Winston into ridiculous-looking cosplay makeup, yeah, to character who really also should stay in animation, borderline breaking the original trilogy canon of Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen's Darth Vader, having another duel set between the Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. Lucasfilm's strategy has been to strangle of Star Wars. You know what? Fuck you, IGN. I don't know if it's the same person writing it, but you fucking love that show, so up yours, okay? They also would be bad enough on its own. The company's capulation of the worst parts of the fandom gets even more egregious when it remembers they largely refused to stand behind the actors of color who received the most toxic response of projects like John Boyega. You know what? That's also fucking bullshit, because Kelly Marianne Tran didn't get off internet because of that, right? It was completely something else, okay? John Boyega, you destroyed, okay? Even he didn't even want to do interviews for Disney, okay? So quite frankly, enough is enough. Star Wars is a mess, and it's all said that we also long and current leadership of corporate attitude remains in place, constantly hiring, firing, and recycling creatives and projects just for none of them to get made in no way run of a movie studio. The culture rot that the heart of the enterprise is too deep-rooted, and to remove anything less than a complete overhaul, but whether or not it is possible to stage anyone's guess. Okay, here's another thing. All of these people wrote articles to say that the people, the fans, were wrong. And here we are, just 4 years removed, 5 years removed, okay? And now these people that love the new Star Wars are now saying, hey, can we get something here? Right? They don't even like what it is. And that's the whole point, right? These people are not even the fans of the actual series, but these are the people they went for. This is the fans they went for. Instead of keeping the fans that they had, they shit on the fans that they had. Okay? Right? They gave every single one of these goddamn movies good reviews. They talked it up and said that each and every single one of us that liked the old Star Wars, we were the problem. Okay? But yet, they're not making the money. They're not making the movies. They're not making the TV shows. We'll see. Right? The Skeleton Crew comes out. It's either out today or tomorrow. Okay? I'm kind of interested in it, because hopefully it has nothing to do with anything we've seen previously from Star Wars, right? Nothing. Like, if you want to mention a Jedi or whatever, cool. But it looks like they're just trying to tell a story within the Star Wars universe, and we'll see how that works, right? But IGN is this is fucking hilarious. They're the ones the longest time. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. So good. All right, let me see what you guys said. Been talking for fucking forever. I won't even buy the new movies, FNT says. Orber says, are trash. They screwed Finn. Stop caring. Finn had such a good start, and then they didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know what to do with him. But they'll tell you that we're the sexist, racist ones because we didn't want a black character in the movie. But even though in the movie we were like, oh, this is interesting. Where could this go? And then they made him a fucking comedy act, a sad one, by the way. His whole lines in the movie was Ray, Ray. He's just screaming Ray's name the entire time in the trilogy. All right, John, I need you to come in. And on the script here it says Ray. Now, how do you want me to say that? You want me to say Ray? Ray? No, like no. I need you to scream it a little bit more louder, more obnoxious, right? Like you love her, but at the same time you're mad at her because she's not paying attention to you because you're just a side character. Ray, right? Like that's what she was doing. Gaming says the story is already in a comic, at least the last movie, where the book called Dark Emperor or Luke turns to the dark side. His sister trains and fights him, but the rest is similar down to the clone. Yeah, no, they're changing all of that. Yeah, they definitely flushed this character down the toilet. Altered says Rey was the only consistent character, but since everything around her fell apart, they make her look worse. 100%. Imagine having the biggest franchise. Like, cinematic movies changed because of Star Wars. And now Star Wars can't even make Star Wars. We don't we don't talk about Game of Thrones season 8. Yeah. No. It's like we don't talk about Bruno. Yeah, don't talk about that. Here's the difference. I've had a conversation about the Rogue One movie. I think Rogue One is a really good movie. It just doesn't fit in the Star Wars-esque of movies, if that makes sense, right? If they ever redid, or if someone wanted to do Star Wars over, right? If Tony Gilroy wanted to do all of them over, but they wanted to do it in a more, style of Rogue One, that could be really cool. All of them, though, in that style. His sticks out like a sore thumb. It's done very well, but it just doesn't fit into those other films. Rush Game of Thrones season 8. They got fired from the new gig. Yeah. Well, they not only did they rush it, Jones. What's his name? R.R. Martin didn't finish writing the books, and they needed to make money, so HBO decided to ad-lib basically, and that's why it fell to shit. Jesse Max says the Disney is using Jake Skywalker, not Luke. Never throw his father's lightsaber into the ocean. Yeah, they completely ruined Luke Skywalker's character. Well, I just watched a video a couple days ago about the Wimpy Kid Diary. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing this up, Lucas, is because you you're saying about the Jar Jar guy. That's going to happen regardless, right? Like stupid characters in movies, like a Jar Jar Binks, was meant there to be kids, but adults like Star Wars, and that was a choice. And the person that played it got shit on because of it. Same with the actor that played Roderick in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid in the 4th movie. I just watched the Asmongold one, I think 2 days ago, that he watched a video of that. And that just happens. Like, people just shit on you because of the way you look, the way you sound, whatever it is, right? People do it to me. Start says, bro, Steam sale, Battlefield 2042, $4.79. Well, yeah, I got you there, Sarge, and I'll raise you a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is at $3.50. $3.50. Okay. That one ups your Battlefield 2042 for $4.79. Travis says 30. It's not just Star Wars. They ruined Marvel as well. Dude, they didn't ruin one series. They fucked 2 franchises. Don't let them get anything ever again. Well, they own it. They own them all. And you know what I would like to say though? From 2008. Now, when did they buy Marvel? They bought Marvel. Was it before Iron Man or after? Regardless, I thought 1, 2, and 3. They're what were they called? Not seasons. What the hell were they called? Stages? I forget what the fuck they were calling. All the way up to Endgame. I thought that was perfect. I thought what they did with each of the movies, sliding the thread through each of them, keeping them going, I thought was great. But that was it. They should have ended it and then make a new story instead of continuing it on. Let's see what you're saying. Extra effort you need to harness back what was way more than now. They spend letters. Imagine that. Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing is done. Yeah. Finn was supposed to be a Jedi. He was supposed to be a Jedi, and then they completely destroyed it. Like, he didn't even know how to fight afterwards. It's like they're like, oh, let's do a cool move where he slices his back and his spinal cord is done, and then they put him in the back to tank. And then the first time you see him in episode 8, he's in that back to suit, and he falls off the table, and it starts to shoot out. Like, what are you doing? That's the next time you see him after he almost dies. Is he wakes up, and it's like he's like Abbott and Costello now. Like, what are we talking about? The dude was defending Rey, was fighting a Sith Lord, got his back sliced with a lightsaber, and the next time you see him, he's a clown. Like, what? His whole thing should have been getting back to strength and then having a showdown with Kylo. Having a showdown with Captain Phasma. Nope. He was about to fight her, and then all of a sudden it falls to her death. Like, what are we doing? Sarge says Marvel Star Wars should be owned by the fans, just like Green Bay Packers. Anyone who's allowed to make a movie or book, but all money made from the licensing from the public goes to helping children. I mean, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it was so stupid, Z. It was so stupid. He also woke up, bonked his head on the chamber, then running down the hallway, squirting out juices everywhere. No one helping. Yeah, like he's a complete clown. Endgame shouldn't been a standalone and writing direct. Shouldn't been or should have been? Shouldn't been a standalone. Or says the public should collectively buy back Marvel. Well, it's funny because everyone wants Elon Musk to buy everything. Elon Musk was saying he might buy Hasbro. Elon Musk said he might buy MSNBC. You know what would be cool? Obviously, if Elon Musk, let's say he bought Hasbro, or let's say he wanted to buy Star Wars or whatever, because he's the richest, any fucking rich guy that can buy the stuff and take it away from someone, and then did exactly what you just said, Sarge, where he buys it away from the conglomerate company, but then, like, the way I look at it is like Star Wars theory, right? Very passionate Star Wars fan. His little short films that he's making and what other people make have way more passion than what the studios know what Star Wars is, right? So it would be cool if someone rich could buy that stuff and then give it to somebody, not say, look, I own it, but here, make what you want type of thing. That would be amazing. Take it away from the corporate beings, because they don't know what they have. They don't know what they're doing. They don't really like the book, the movie, the IPs. They bought it because they were going to make a lot of money off of it, not because of the passion of what the fans like. Travis says, "30. Do you think we see Transformers at the Game Awards, or are you ready to just give up? No, there was a roadmap, Travis, and everything on that roadmap so far for Transformers has hit. Even the shitty car game and the mobile game and all this other stuff, they're all on the roadmap. So in 2025, we do see Transformers reactivate, and I do think we see it at the Game Awards." I mean, if I get my Altern says, I mean, if we get my back effed up, Sith Lord, and survive, I would also play a clown so he doesn't do it again. We're just doing one billionaire for another. No, there's a difference, Jones. There's a difference between a corporation, okay, a corporation that owns it, and somebody that's passionate that owns it. If someone that's passionate buys something that they really like, they want it to thrive. But a corporation is going to buy something just so they can make money off of it. FNT says, yeah, shouldn't. I didn't like all of it, basically. I thought that when you look at Endgame, there's a lot of loopholes because of time travel and whatnot. But I thought the whole series, I thought was done well. And they should have just ended it at Endgame, and that would have been like the comics, right? Like, that's it. Stage 1, 2, and 3, that's what it should have been. Done, end the comic, end the story, and then move on to the next story without connecting it to this story. I just recently watched Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was a great movie, but I loved what they did. It was entertaining, okay? It was needed. What Ryan Reynolds did with that film leaves it open where basically you could fix the fucking thing. You don't have to be locked into what you want to continue doing with the multiverses and whatnot. Marvel and Star Wars is 100% part of America's culture and should be treated as such, and it should also be protected. Millions of people grew up instilled with values and heroes, and they grew up with. Travis says 30. I wonder if the game is made to sell the toys for Reactivate. Yeah, there was already toys. The toys came in late last year, December, January. The game was put on the back burner, Travis, for whatever reason. Everyone thought it was going to come out this year for the 40th anniversary, but it didn't happen. Right? The game is still there. Jesse Max says Elon is making his own game studio. It's called XAI. I mean, we said it a couple months ago, right? I said AI will make its own game, right? And now, if that's true, he makes his own studio and AI makes it. You guys see this? This is fantastic. This is just what time is it? 12 o'clock. I thought this title was hilarious. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on GXG when I said the people that were working for the studio were juniors, right? That's the problem with the video game industry. They're hiring people that are brand new and there's not enough people to rein in the right. Half of the Assassin's Creed Shadow devs have never built a game before. Now, I never worked on a feature film my first day out of school. I'm not saying there's not people that have done it, but even if you did, you weren't, like, I'm talking a blockbuster film. Like, I didn't come out of school and then all of a sudden work on a blockbuster film in a high-end position, right? I didn't graduate and then become the director. I wasn't in the camera department. I was a PA. I was a grip. I was, right? You worked your way up, right? You work your way up into the position to then, right? So you work on like small independent films, you work on like music videos, you work on like smaller production, okay? Half of the Assassin's Creed Shadow devs have never built a game before. I think let's remove Assassin's Creed Shadows from this, okay? And let's put half of Disney Star Wars have never worked on a film before. Okay, I feel like that's the same thing we've gotten. Okay, the higher ups that wanted to make the thing never did the thing before. Okay, the people making the stuff have never actually made a thing before. This is not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Altern says, I mean, it's great for juniors so they can get the experience, but I hope the juniors didn't get a supervisor role. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic if there's people that have never made a game before, but there's also other people that have never made a game before, but they also started off with a smaller game. I've never worked on a car engine before, but I'm not being hired by a mechanic to work on someone's car. You know what I mean? You gotta learn the stuff before you get to that and have that position. Lucas says Indiana Jones got a release trailer a few hours ago. Looks good. Did you see how big a game is? Like 133 gigs. Robert Jones says half the workers that built your house never did it before. Not my house. No, the guy who built my house was the person that lived in the house. He built it because he had to live in it. Back in 1942. So he didn't know how to do it, but he got really good as it progressed. FNT says, well, because it's Marvel, done time travel has done it too because of one of the biggest comics that will need to one-to-one with the changes the creator wants. So yeah, the F this Marvel will die. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what they do. Jesse Max says Ubisoft must be hiring new young people who never go to school there, how to learn to build games, but no. I mean, obviously we just read the title. I didn't read the article. But just that half of the Assassin's Creed staff has never worked on a game before. Crazy. 4 hours of cinematic. Yeah, I believe. Let me see if I had that story. I'll turn. I think they talk about how many gigs it is. Story length. The story length is 12 to 14 hours to complete. Got 4 hours of 4 hours of cinematic. And I'm pretty sure and the file size 131 gigs. Yeah. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle install size is 131 gigs. I'm sorry, I lied to you. I said 133. It's 131. My apologies. My apologies. $133 gigs, yeah, and yet the 5-hour cutscene in Indy 30, it's 20-hour game. The Sony will also be who's here about cinematic games is laughing. I mean, I don't think anyone's laughing. I don't think anyone's unless you're like a fanboy of one side or the other. I mean, it's a movie game. We know it's a movie game. It literally is a movie game. It's based on a off the movies, which is based off like an old comic back in the day, or an old thing back in the day. Not a comic. What do they call them? Like serial or whatever. Don't you have to build games as part of your portfolio to even get interviewed? You would think. You would think, Jones. But we do know that Ubisoft has lots of DEI departments, and we do know that they hire people based on their color of their skin or orientation than they do of their actual portfolio. That's been proven. So, but who gives crap, Travis? Who gives crap? Normal people or fanboys? Do devs also forget the ability to compress files and optimize the game file size? How did we got so big? The game is not even 100 hours to complete. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy. I would think the DEI hire. No, they've said it. There's been proven things of them hiring people not because of their skill, because they have to check boxes. Travis says 30. Speaking of bad business practices, how about the Valve art director? Yeah, that whole. I here's what I think about that. Like, the dude is unhinged right now. Like, I don't know why. Right? I don't know why you would do what you do. Right? Because we watched the video of Force Gaming showing it, right? And I saw the he/him thing in there, but I personally don't think it's a big deal, right? Well, other people saw it and said, hey, it's in there. If there's a he/him, there's a she/they, and there's a they/them or whatever is going to be in the game. And then, what's his name? Matt Hansen, I think his name is. Matt Hansen. He hates, right? Which is mind-boggling to me because what did he say? Elon Musk said something. I think he responded to, what's the other guy's name? Worked for Blizzard, World of Warcraft. Grums? I think it's Grums, right? So he replied to Grums about something, and then Matt Hansen went unhinged, deleted his account on X, and then went over to Blue Skies, and then started like going off and saying that I'm so happy that this game, I can't wait to make Elon Musk miserable or unhappy or whatever. I'm ad-libbing here because I don't know the exact quote, but I'm like, how sad are you that you're so upset about some dude that has nothing to do with your game? Like, you're upset at Elon Musk, where all you had to do was just 2 more months. Just stay quiet. Just stay quiet. You came out and you started spitting off stuff, and now you're doing more damage, okay? More damage than anything you've ever done before. Like, I don't understand. I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever. I was like, Obsidian has never let me down, so I'm okay with it, right? I was like, until they do. But I've also said, well, Rocksteady and all the other ones beforehand, BioWare. I was like, oh, well, they've never done it before. Well, here we are again. Obsidian, whose games I love. I love Grounded. I love New Vegas. I like New Worlds, right? I like their games. Now they're coming out with this game, and this guy just can't shut his trap. Like, he just keeps saying. And the worst part is, here's the worst part. The company, or Xbox, Microsoft, Obsidian themselves, have said nothing. They've said nothing. Which means that there's people out there. Now, I personally don't give a shit, right? But there's people out there who are like, well, if they're not saying anything, that means they believe in what he's saying. And if they believe what he's saying, well, then why am I going to buy your game? Why am I going to purchase your game? Like, I don't know what's happening over there. Eclipse says now because of that, some bad stuff came out about him and he might get in trouble. I mean, I just don't understand how hard it is to not tweet. Think about this. A tweet or blue sky, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? On the other side. If I speak, I'm speaking out. There's no filter. The filter is my brain before I say something. Okay? When you're typing something, you're literally thinking it, saying it out loud, typing it, and then you have to think about it, and then you're like, yeah, that's good. And then you hit send. Like, there's a filtration system built in manually because you're not saying it. You can't be like, say something and go, oh, like, you're thinking it, you're saying it, you're typing it, and then you hit send, and you're like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, does this sound good? The Avowed dev will be going today on The Office, and but no one is getting near him, giving him strange looks because they might have gained harassment for the entire company. He single-handedly might destroy the sales of the game. How can there be a PR department allow him to say those things? Well, they were on vacation for the holidays. I would assume, Roic, but I'm just baffled by the whole thing. Dante says it makes it easier on yourself if you absolutely have to tweet it out. Write it in notepad. Right, like there's like a filtration system. Be like, should I say this? I work for a company. Our game's coming out in 1 month or 2 months from now. Would this look bad or poorly? Oh, I don't give a shit. And you put it out there, and you're like, I'm just so confused. Eclipse says, and it looks, and it really sucks because I think the game looks good from what I've seen, and you keep your mouth shut, right? Well, here's the thing, right? It's on Game Pass, so a lot of people maybe won't buy it, but they can try it. But even then, it's like, if Microsoft doesn't come out and do something, then that means Microsoft stands by him. If Microsoft stands by him, then they might be losing business. Very simple to be a business person, okay? Make stuff for your fans. Make your fans enjoy the game. They don't want to be preached to. They don't want to be told that they're bad people, okay? Everyone has opinions. Everyone has opinions. But when your opinion affects the other people on the staff, when your opinion affects the business and their bottom line, that's when you overstepped your opinion, okay? You want to have your own YouTube channel? You want to tell someone, your neighbor or someone off to go do something? Cool. But in your tweets, you say who you are. You say who you work for. You say all the stuff. So now you're accountable, right? No one's saying you can't say what you want to say, but there's also accountability. And when you say certain things and it fucks up certain things for other people, you're accountable for it. My game is about to release, and we need sales. So now, how about I talk shit? Yeah, we'll bring sales up. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Travis says, crazy idea, 30, but as a game dev, maybe only talk about the game. Yeah, I know. That's crazy advice there, Travis. Robic says, when I type an email to a client, I write it out, wait about 10 minutes to go back, and then reread it to make sure I didn't type what I was actually thinking. Roic, I do this every single day, right? There's certain things that people say on Twitter, and I want to tweet, right? But I don't tweet. I write out the whole thing, right? And I'm like, I delete it. You can go look at my history. I barely ever speak on social media, right? I say things, I read things, I'm entertained by things, but I don't say certain things because I look at it and go, is this going to do more harm than good? Is someone going to take me out of, because texting is worse than, right? Because if I write, like, go F yourself, right? Go F yourself, okay? But in a talking point like this, if we're joking around in context, if someone makes fun of me and I say, hey, go F yourself, but in a fun way, it's different than if I just say go F yourself in a tweet or text, because if that happens, then people are like, this guy's an asshole. Like, no, you're taking it out of context, right? So it's like you have to know, which I don't understand. You have to know that you're working for a company, and what you say, people are going to link back to that, right? I just don't understand why these people are so confused by this. I'm on Twitter, so it's please never the fight with idiots that aren't named outright in chat. I do the same to a point. Somebody talking me into getting Raven's Watch. The game is hard. I like the Red Riding Hood character. How it turned out to the wolf at night. Yeah, it's supposed to be like Raven's Watch is like Elden Ring else fights, like a Dark Souls type of stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken, they're like hard fights. If that's what you like, type of game, Nate, then pick it up. Travis says, I've been called dumbass and idiot on here. Never took it personal. Why? Because I can tell your tone. Right. And there's a huge difference when someone, especially if you're writing something and then you come out and it feels like you're defending something or something on a tweet, you know what I mean? That texting is bad. My wife sometimes when I text her, she's like, "What did you mean by that?" I'm like, "I just said what I said." Like there's no tone behind it. It's just what it is. But people see it and they like picture like what you're saying. You must be mad. It's like, is he? This makes sense when a game dev is talking about the product, but should an employee be held accountable for talking about other stuff? If you are, this is what we live in now, Jones, right? If you work for any company, I'm not even going to say a game company. If you work for a company and in your profile it says Robert Jones, bank executive, okay, bank executive, or Robert Jones, Wendy's employee, okay. If it says it in there, then you represent them. If I don't know where you work, if it doesn't say bank executive, if it doesn't say certain things, and it just says Robert Jones, and you just say what you say, then cool. That's you. But when people find out that Robert Jones that works at the bank or Robert Jones that works here, and you say shit about the thing, people be like, is this how you treat your employees? Is this how you talk to your customers? Right? That's where it gets down to, their responsibility. They have accountability. Argus says, if Avowed is riddled with a themer stuff to like Dragon Age, I'll add that to the list of games I was going to play, but won't. Play it even if it's free now. To go back and play a tiny bit of Diablo 2. Oh my god, so good. I haven't gone back. I went back and played Path of Exile to get excited and get familiar. I know it's completely different, but just get back in the action RPG type of stuff. And since Path of Exiles 2 is coming out. Travis says, 30, I can tell right now that you don't get mad often. You are passionate about mad. But mad would be if you insult your wife or kid and get mad. Yeah, I'm very passionate, Travis. I don't really get mad. A little bit of it maybe online is a little bit like for show type of stuff, but I'm super laid back when it comes to certain things. I'm loud. People think I'm mad. Like in real life, when I'm having a conversation, they're like, "Why are you screaming?" I'm like, "Because I'm fucking loud. That's why." I don't think they should or anything not related to the company. Your profile doesn't even have to link to the employer. If they track it back to you, they're displaying. Yeah, no, that's exactly the same though, Jones. It all depends on what it is. Like, this is 100% about the game, right? So the person that we're talking about is 100% talking about the game and then talking about people and whatnot. But if you didn't talk about the game and you just told some lady to go F off or some guy to go F off, we would have to know the context of why he's saying that to somebody, right? Because if someone else said something and then he's, rebuttaling back, cool, okay? Like if a customer tells you to go F yourself and then you start fighting back, cool. That I don't think that should be reprimanded, okay? But when you come out and start attacking your customers or saying certain things, if it says in your profile or not, you got to know that you're going to be linked back to it. So you should probably, filter yourself. Altente says, I did not call the customer a dickhead. I asked them, are you a dickhead? They had a choice to say no. I'm watching Dr. Disrespect stream on Rumble. Holy hell, the quality is good on Rumble. He signed some ridiculous deal over there, didn't he? Is that really a gaming platform? Is there people over there playing on games? Waterbear said, did someone say Path of Exile? You're always representing your company, even if it's not at work, even if you're about to work, because that company employs you, and you are the representation of them. So if you speak your mind, it better be within that mind, right? Like if in real life before Twitter, if I'm wearing a shirt and it says U.S. Bank, okay, and I start going off on somebody and be like, that's Mike from the U.S. Bank. He fucking told me to go, right? People know what you're wearing. So make sure you're not in your work clothes when you go off on somebody, because then they don't know where you are. With the internet, with Twitter, they can hunt you down. They can see where you are. They know what your past is. Jason says, Argus, Avowed is 100% going to be like that. No, it's not free for everyone on the 6th, Nate. It's free for the people that have already played or spent a certain amount of money. It's $30 for the early access for Path of Exile 2. It won't be free till next year when it actually comes out. This is early access. This is not the launch of the game. Robert Jones says, yeah, I agree. He fucked up. But speaking to the broader picture of representing the company in your personal time, doing personal shit, this is why bring a change of clothes, right? Here's the perfect example, Jones. When I used to work for Apple, or I used to work even for the amusement park, when I went on lunch break, I would have to put a jacket on or cover my shirt or go eat somewhere where people couldn't see me, okay? Because they didn't want you to get bothered, and they also didn't want you, because usually when people are on break, if they're being bothered because they're working there, they're going to be a little bit more rude because they're like, you're eating, okay? So you have to cover it up. At least this is how it used to be back in the day, right? So you would have to cover up your shirt so people didn't know that you worked there, okay? Now, obviously, if they've been there all the time, they start to notice you that you work there. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I have the shirt on, I'm an employee. I have the shirt off, or I'm not wearing the shirt, or I'm covered up, you don't know I'm there, then I don't work there. So when I'm outside, right, if I tell someone to go F themselves, but I'm wearing the uniform, people can go, hey, your employee was rude to me. Argus says, so it comes down to who a company chooses to employ and representation of what company is okay with because they employ you. This perception thing. So if you would say wild shit, you're still thinking, yeah, exactly right. Stuff when you are at work. You represent them outside of work. Right. Why wouldn't they just make a personal account and then tweet? But as Robert Jones was saying earlier, even if they make a personal account and not linked, they'll be like, hey, Matt Hansen, that Matt Hansen that works here, they can trace you back. Right? How do I put this? You're free to say whatever you want, but you're not free from criticism. You're not free from repercussions of what you say. Right? If I tell someone to go F off in real life, I've said it. I was free to say it. But that person's also free to punch me in the face. And then I'll be like, well, I'm charging you with assault. Well, you said something to me. I'm self-defense or whatever, right? That's where the whole thing starts to break down. Okay? You're allowed to say what you want to say, but there's also consequences to your actions. Right? You make fun of someone makes fun of you, punches are thrown, people are wrestling, someone gets shot and killed, and at the end of the day, you look at it and go, well, what the hell happened? What brought me to this point? One reacts to another, to another, to another, to another. Argus says, no, Rumble is where you stream to say shit YouTube doesn't let you. The clip says you get the end game currency of $30 also, which is awesome. It will be free if you spent $400 in microtransactions. Just pay $30 for Path of Exile 2. It'll be more than worth it. Makes total sense when you're in uniform. My job says that you can drink with company logos on. Right, you can drink with company logos on. Just make sure you don't tell someone to go F themselves. just make sure you don't say anything past just drinking. Oh, absolutely, Argus. Anyone can just dig up what you're from or what you did or whatnot. And the only reason I have Twitter is one to put gifs or make fun of stuff. I laugh, collect news. I don't use it to its source. I don't use it what I'm supposed to use it for. Sometimes someone says something stupid, and I'm just like, I kind of want to. This is what I was thinking about doing. There's certain things because you can submit for community notes, and I was thinking about doing community notes because sometimes people say certain shit, and you're just like, that is not true. And I want to correct them, but I don't want to go back and forth 15 times type of stuff. So I was thinking about applying for community notes. That way, when someone says something stupid, I can actually correct them and be like, no, actually, that's not true. But then I stopped caring. I was like, I don't got time for that shit. I just chose not to do it at all. Altern says, drink on company's logo cup and tell everyone to go F themselves. Got it. You listen very well, Altern. Travis says, 30, did you ever notice when they do put this in DEI stuff in it, you can tell it's not genuine. It's just them trying to sell more copies of this. Devs don't really care about it. No, it's virtual signaling. That's what it's called. It's called virtual signaling. El Dente says, I want to do the community notes so I can call people dickheads when they're wrong. That's right. That's exactly right. Without saying dickheads. El Dente. It was just to tell people, no, that's not true. Right? And then point them. But then I was just like, I don't care. Yeah. I just want to do community notes so I can call people dickheads. Hey, dickhead. That's wrong. Hey, dickhead. That's wrong. All right. That's going to do it for our first show in December. I appreciate it very much. You guys, if you liked it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tonight, we're going to be playing some video games. Not sure what video games. I might play some Path of Exile 1 just to get in the mood for Path of Exile 2. And you guys can teach me things because I don't know shit about nothing. So maybe we'll do that tonight. Other than that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I do appreciate you very much. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.